Hey guys, Nick here and welcome back to That Modern Dude, your home for tech and modern lifestyle videos. If you are new to the channel, consider subscribing down below. Today we're doing a full-on how to edit a YouTube video tutorial. This is going to be done in Final Cut Pro, start to finish. So grab a drink, a coffee, some snacks, and get ready because I'm going to show you how I edit these sort of talking head videos from start to finish in Final Cut Pro, but all the techniques I use in this video can be applied in Adobe Premiere or some other editing software. So let's get into the edit. All right, so just quickly, I have created a folder here, Refer Board Review Video. This is the video we'll be editing. And in there, I have a media folder where I have a screen recording from my iPhone that I plan to use in the project, as well as the footage from my A7 III. Other than that, I don't have any folders, at least not for talking head videos. All the music and stuff that I generally use will be kept on my portable hard drive. So we'll open up Final Cut Pro and we're gonna create a new library. So we're gonna close this one down. New library. I'm gonna save it to the folder here and I'm just gonna call it the same thing. So Refer Board Review. I'm going to rename the event the exact same thing, just because why not? And then we're going to hit import media. Now, if you watched a video I did the other day, you should see a link up here somewhere about how to organize footage for videos. That's pretty much what I'm going to do now. So we're going to go to desktop and we've got the refer board video, and I'm just going to select these two here and import selected. So now I've got my footage in here and I've got it sorted by keywords, which is fine. And I'm just going to quickly assign a video roll to this, and we're just going to call it screen capture and make it red because I don't like orange, which isn't important. All right, so we're going to create a new project. We're just going to make this one a 1080p project, and now, my project name, what I like to do is name it more or less what I would call it for YouTube, because when I share to YouTube, it will take the project name and, you know, whatever, I don't have to change it. So you skip a step there, which is always good. All right, really simple. The way I film my talking head videos is I film it in one long take. Stuff ups and all. I used to film bits and pieces, so I would write my script and I'd film a paragraph, stop recording. Film another paragraph, stop recording. And then that got really confusing when editing because I have all these different videos and I'm trying to make this cohesive story or review. So I ended up just switching to this and I found it much easier to edit. So like I said, I'm going to drag that onto the timeline, and now I have the full edit here. And there's a lot of ups and downs here, and those are the lulls that are in the edit. You can see here I pause and I'll just look down. This is just the easiest way, because that way I can just go through this one piece of footage, chop and cut this one piece of footage, and I'll have my story for this video from A to Z. But starting off, the first thing I like to do for the footage is I'll grab a bit where I can see my head. Look at that, beautiful. And I'm gonna do a very, very quick color correction for the base footage. This just so I don't have to copy and paste it to all the cuts that I do, and I'll do an adjustment layer at the very end to put a LUT on or something like that. So we're gonna do color wheels. We're gonna bring up the scopes, which is a really easy way. So Command 7, and this will bring up your highlights and your shadows, which you wanna keep highlights just under 100, shadows just over 0. It's pretty simple. So we're gonna raise the highlights quite a bit. And you see if I raise them right up, they start to clip just up here. And that's why you have them more so just under 100, beautiful. Shadows, bring the shadows down just a little bit, and to balance out this section here, which is the midtones, we're going to raise them just a little bit, just so that they are a little bit more evenly spread out. And because this is shot in a Cine 4, I'm going to add an ever so slight amount of saturation, not a lot, just a little bit, and that'll just help here. So if I get rid of the scopes, so it doesn't look like we've done a lot, but if I turn it on and off, you can see it's a little bit brighter, a tiny bit more contrast, and that's how I'm going to edit. So I'll chuck an audio filter. This is called my voiceover fix. If you want to see a video on how I created this effect, leave a comment down below and I'll do a separate video on it. You don't have to do this. This is just what I like to do. And then I'll just raise the levels ever so slightly. All right, so as you can see, there's a whole lot of nothing here. So I will generally just drag that right up to there. This part, I'm just gonna play on fast forward. And the reason being is because all I'm going to do now is go from start to finish. And I'm gonna cut the bits and bobs out where I've paused or maybe I've repeated something because I didn't like it. So this bit here is what you would consider my intro. However, I didn't like it, so I paused and now I start again. So I'm just going to get rid of that and all right, so I've gone through and I've cut quite a bit of this footage up, as you can see. I've also dropped markers, and this is just to remind me that I have something else to add here, whether that's a title or an overlay or something like that. However, in this video, hang on, let me just mute the computer. And so here I have my marker, and this is where I've got to do my overlay in terms of have my phone screen recording and chuck it over the top. But I have to kind of edit it at the same time as the footage because it's going to go along. So what I'm going to actually do now is I'm actually going to drop that down over top, and we're going to just quickly change that to screen capture, and we're going to detach audio. Now it starts pretty much here, and we're going to move it. I'm going to use transform tools. I'm going to move it over here. We're going to drop the scale a little bit. So now we've got that here, and now I'm going to edit both. The way I do that is I will, if I need to get rid of 2 bits, is I'll cut, and then I'll cut underneath, and then I'll delete that section. That way I don't skip audio and I don't skip the recording, and it starts off at the exact same spot. So I'm just gonna quickly undo that. And now I'm gonna go through and edit both. All right, guys, so we've just gone through and finished editing that. So as you can see here, I cut the screen recording up and it lines up perfectly with my main footage, like so. And I've dropped a couple of little markers down here. Like I said, these are to remind me as I come back after my first pass that I need to add something to the footage. Quite often, if I have B-roll of a product or that I'm reviewing, this is what these markers will represent. Now that I've done that first pass and I've cut the main footage up the way I like it, and you know, this footage I had to do at the same time anyway, that is as it is, I'm gonna go through and start sorting out these markers. So we're gonna go to the front one here, and we're just gonna zoom in and we're gonna figure out what this is about. So I do that just by playing the footage. Hey guys, Nick here and welcome back. Hey guys. So I know that because this is my intro, this is where I drop my social media links. I then figure out where I want it, and I'm gonna quickly go through and customize it. All right, so I'm just gonna go through now and figure out the footage that applies to all this section here. So this one, I believe, is a logo. Now, for stuff like logos and pictures that I think I might add, I generally just get them on the fly, and that's just me. I like to work that way. Some people like to get all that sort of stuff beforehand. It is your preference. So all I'm gonna do now is gonna quickly go through and add my B-roll and all that sort of stuff that I need to my markers, and we'll come back at the end there. All right, so now I've added that B-roll to those markers. This one ended up not being important, so that's fine. What I do now is add my subsequent footage. This is stuff I add to all my videos, which is my end plate as well as my bumper video. And again, like my music, I keep this all on my main hard drive just because there's no point in me copying it back and forth to all my project files. It's just as easy to grab the end screen and the intro scene. So I open them like that, and because I know how I cut my videos, I always know that this is gonna be my intro clip, so it's pretty easy. I just drag in and drop, and then end screen is the same thing. It generally goes for about 10 seconds. So if I drag that out, 10 seconds, and that is my bumper. Maybe a little bit of maybe an interesting little transition. I don't know. What do we want? Do whatever we want. We could maybe do that one. That one's an interesting sort of transition there. Yeah, I like it. That's kind of cool. Last is music. Now, music, again, generally always downloaded into the same location. For larger projects, I will have them in the project folder, but for stuff like this, I know I'm going to edit it once, upload, I save it to my background music. I've already got it here, that one. I find that when having music underneath, negative 30 decibels is where you kind of want it. It's definitely, you know, not as audible then. We got that there. You'll see, you hover over, you get those two arrows, drag it over, and then by right clicking, you can figure out the kind of fade that you want. S-curve is nice because it gradually goes from quiet to loud, and you go, oh no, well, the audio doesn't fit the entire length of the clip. This is gonna happen more often than not. What I like to do is I'm gonna cut the end off, and then I'm gonna cut this section just about here, and I check the waveforms. I try to make sure the waveforms are pretty close together. I then move the end audio right to the end there, and then by holding Option and dragging, I am able to copy this bit of music along, and because it's so quiet, all right, I've tested this, is you just cannot notice, for the majority of audio, can't notice the fact that I've cut that. If I turn it all the way up, oh, that's gonna really deafen us. You might notice it, all right? So let's have it down there, and we turn the audio back on. It's not a bad thing to want to earn a little bit of money from a hobby. So you can tell there that it is noticeable, but if I drop it back down to negative 30 decibels, earn a little bit of money from a hobby, or you can't tell. It's just subtle enough that there's something in the background, something that keeps it from being a little bit too boring, and yeah, you don't notice those fades. Then I will always raise the music here at the end, do an interest, you know, a little bit of a fade, do a little bit of a fade at the end, boom. The last thing to do is chuck a LUT on if you feel like chucking a LUT, and that's it, guys. We've fully edited a full YouTube video. Nice and easy. Didn't take me long. I think I started editing this about an hour ago. Now we've got a full talking head video with overlaid footage. We've got some text in there as well. A few effects and transitions, nice and easy. The next thing I do is I just hit share, and I'll share it straight to YouTube. I'm not one for saving old videos. The only time I'll save the video itself is if I think it is one worth saving. Quite often that'll be like a vlog or one where I've actually spent a lot of time with the edit. This talking head video, stuff like this, is pretty easy to smash out.